both Turner and Humboldt High School in October. After that, as of this month, it's been installed completely at all of our high school campuses. So that was rolled out in the last 2 weeks. It's going very well. Kids have taken to it well, and so have the teachers. The district felt tonight would be a good opportunity to allow you to see the new system. It is a weapons detection system that is used in other places like Disney World and the Hobby Center. It's good to see that people can move through it quickly and efficiently. And now you've experienced what our kids get to experience every day whenever they get off the bus, get out of their cars, and come into the school along with our kids. We hope that you are able to find that interesting, get part of that experience, and again, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I'd like to introduce Stacy Ward, who's with ATPE, and also a 5th grade math and science teacher at Centennial Elementary. Please give a warm welcome to Stacy.
Good evening. We are glad you're here. Welcome everyone to our school forum. And I wanted just to let you know that whether you're a parent or a student or an educator, a staff member, or even just a community stakeholder, your presence and participation here tonight reflects the shared commitment that we have to the future of our schools. This forum is an opportunity for open dialogue, thoughtful questions, and meaningful discussion. Our goal is to ensure transparency, collaboration, and a stronger connection between the school board and the community we serve. We believe that when we listen to one another and work together, we can create a positive, supportive, and forward-thinking educational environment for all students, which is why we're here. Sitting up on the stage is an act of courage. I'd like for you to join me now in giving our candidates sticking to our time frame of an hour. We would appreciate it if you would please spend the rest of the forum quietly listening, keeping your comments and applause to yourself so we can spend the next 60 minutes wisely. Candidates, just a little housekeeping. You will have 30 seconds to introduce yourself before we begin with questions. We ask that you remain seated while you answer the questions. Once the question is asked, you will have 1 minute to respond. If you go over the allotted time, you will get a verbal warning. Should it happen again, you will lose time on your next question. Heaven forbid it happens a third time, then you'll be removed from our course. Stick to the time. With 10 candidates here tonight, time will be tight, and we want to make sure everyone is heard and has an equal amount of time to respond. For our first question, I'm going to have my co-moderator, James Ellis, who is a retired Humboldt High School history teacher, ask the question.
First question. Yes.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Oscar Silva, best known as an educator to basically. Most importantly, I spent the money best friend and father of 5. I've been in the finance for about 15 years now. The last couple of years, we built the human resources and training potential. Really glad to see you all here and the major invested in the future of the district.
Good evening, I'm Gracie DeLeon. Thank you guys for being here today. I have 2 sons. I'm on the advisory board for the CTE program. I was on the U.S. Service Academy nomination board for the 2nd Congressional District from 2013 to 2018, in which I volunteered during that time. I was also the executive director at College for 24 years, and I look forward to tonight, and thank you guys all for being here.
And my day job, which I get to once in a while when I get away from the court, the general manager of Plastic City Golf Club for the last 9 years. Ken Kirchhoff for position. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out tonight to hear from all of us candidates. I'm Tracy Shannon, and I'm running to benefit student success in this district, to increase transparency, support teachers, and empower parents, and increase parental involvement in our district. I am endorsed by the National Republican Hispanic Association, Urban Conservatives of America, Moms for Liberty, Moms for America, Harris County Republican Party, the Texas GOP, because they believe in my campaign and my ability to support the purpose of this district. Thanks.
Good evening, guys. My name is Judy Castillo. I am a former educator. Actually, this is home to me. I used to work here at Silver Creek High School. 14-year educator. I have 2 master's degrees, one in educational leadership with principal certification, and I am a PhD student right now at University of Houston. I do not only bring educational background, but leadership as well, dedication, and I believe a teacher deserves to be on the school board that understands the needs of students, that understand the needs of all the staff members that work in OYC.
Good evening, everybody. ATPE and Florida, thank you so much for making this happen today, and thank you all of you that came out and given your time. My name is Elizabeth Shaw, and I'm running for position 5. As a candidate, I'm committed to prioritizing your children and supporting our teachers and ensuring continued transparency in every decision that we make as a school board. I'm married to Dr. Kelvin Shaw, an allergist in our community, and we have 3 children that we've raised in humble ISD. We still have 1 more in high school getting out soon. I earned my BS in biomedical engineering at Texas A&M University and had a career in global consulting where I was able to turn around for companies.
Good evening. My name is Scott Ford. I'm currently a classroom teacher, 25 years in education. I'm also an adjunct professor and a published educational author. My wife of 25 years is sitting right there. She took me I have a kid who is a second year in college and a senior in high school. So I don't envy your decisions. When I talk to the school board election, I get to know a lot of the folks out there, and they're all really good people with passion for education. So hopefully tonight will help you make a choice. Thank you.
The question is great because it's centered around how we think about things and statements. When we think about standardized testing, a lot of parents look at the accountability and the repetition as a model of result. You get a little frustrated with that, and I get it, but we've got to think about this. What is the purpose of this test? It's supposed to be a net that catches those students, maybe that are struggling around education. And so a big piece of my campaign is making sure that we're giving teachers and principals and the experts on the line to see it at the table. So when we're making these decisions, we're thinking about curriculum, strategies, decisions that I think we're pretty smart guys. My wife might disagree with that, but I'm in finance. We're finding about third grade reading curriculum. So we can get those experts a seat at the table to make sure that they can do what they want to do the most, which is teach our kids.
Thank you. I think what's important when it comes to academic excellence is knowing that the principals know their schools better than anybody else will. They're going to know their teachers, they're going to know their students.
they're gonna know their needs. We need to look to see if the resources that the teachers need in order to make their students successful. There may be some additional resources that the teachers don't have that we need to supply them with.
There may be trends that we can identify looking at the data from that particular school to see if there's anything different that we need to change within that particular school is important, and just looking at the trends from the testing perspective is important. So I think the superintendent meeting with the principal directly and having constant communication is key to ensuring that our students are receiving the best education and that our academic scores are increasing.
Oftentimes we have our students struggling and not realize it because we have currently in place a literacy program that only services and helps 53% of students read. Arguably, if we shifted our focus to a phonics-based program, it's proven to show that it impacts 95% of readers. Not only would it impact our current students that are on level and doing wonderful, but it'll also help the struggling readers catch up. As much as a growth effect of about 1.5 to maybe 2 years. So it's important for us to evaluate what we're currently doing and how we can service both the struggling students as well as the students that are currently on level. Because the one thing that we don't want to do as a district is to do a disservice to the students that are already doing great and the teachers and the schools that are already doing great. So we need to review what we're doing and the efficacy of it and the growth effect and see if we can improve on that, which would invariably improve the students that are already doing well.
Well, the STAR test isn't everything, but it's something. And I agree with my colleague. We have started a shift away from curriculum that's not phonics-based back to phonics-based curriculum. If we're teaching kids about bananas and testing them on apples, they're not going to be successful. So I think we need to do a better job in providing curriculum that teaches kids the TEKS. You guys, ATPE teachers are awesome. You know how to do the work. You just need to be provided the materials that you need to be successful with kids.
You know, online STAR testing and post-COVID impacted the loss of students and teachers. So as a digital navigator, I firsthand see the gap in instruction and assessments. So I think we should support teachers with technology integration and training that will outline with the campus action plans. And also, we should blend the paper and pencil tools with the digital tools for a stronger engagement.
Teachers are our greatest asset, period. How do students learn? If they're hungry, if they're not healthy. It takes excellent teachers. We've got to retain them, pay them, but we also have to focus on our children. We need healthy children. I pushed for the Memorial Hermit Clinic almost a year ago. I gave a passionate speech about my upbringing in the city. Healthy children that aren't hungry, and excellent teachers, our scores will go up.
The core mission of this district is education, and at the core of education are the teachers. We can do a better job of benefiting student success by allowing teachers to do what they do best, teach, and unburdening them from ineffective initiatives that do not directly benefit students. We need to stop micromanaging teachers and let them teach. Some of the things that are working in the district, such as the AVID program, we could take elements of that and make them global throughout the district. Those things will benefit student success throughout their educational career. We need to support teachers better. We need to hear from teachers. This board voted to not hear from teachers. I will always advocate and vote to hear from teachers. Thank you.
I believe teachers are tired of behavior issues.
You know, we want to teach, but we have to deal with so many behavioral issues that it's hard for a teacher to teach the curriculum. And one of my priorities is mental health. I believe if we target mental health at an early stage, this can prevent a crisis of, you know, many fights in school, and then teachers will be able to teach. You know, that one of my main focuses is also providing teachers with professional development, anything that it's needed for them, as well as incorporate student experiences. Student experiences, life makes, you know, learning plan, it makes their life learning plan even more easier. And if we target data, let's talk about data at an early stage. Every student deserves to have their own individualized plan, and we can target those at-risk students at an early stage. Thank you.
Okay. For scores, one of the things I think that's important is to start looking at the scores. We haven't been looking at metrics in the past 10 years in Humble ISD. We've been lacking that. We need to go back to looking at why are we lagging. There is a why component to that, and understanding what the scores are telling us, right? Scores are important. We can't just throw it out and say it's standardized testing. 2, we need to support our teachers. We need to help and understand what we've done over the past 7 years. We have flip-flopped on curriculum. We've said, teach this way. No, 2 years later, teach this way. No, 2 years later, do this. Our teachers know what they're doing. And we need to actually focus on unhampering our teachers and letting them do their job. 3, we need to look at evidence-based curriculum. It's key, and we're starting to do that already. We've had a math curriculum that's been available for parents and educators to look at and make decisions on. We need to go back to a phonics-based curriculum. We've talked about that here on this panel right now. When my kids started at Humble ISD 20 years ago, they had a phonics-based curriculum that does not exist today, and literacy is important in those scores.
So sitting here as a teacher, I'm listening to the answers, and everybody's providing some really good insight. Let me add some of mine. First of all, a teacher, and we've plenty of men here, we all know that our first year of teaching isn't our proudest year of teaching. We have a lot to learn. We're still trying to figure things out. It's not until we get to our 3rd or 4th year of teaching where we really get comfortable in what we do. But if we continually have a rotating group of teachers coming in, no matter what we do, it's not going to work. So I'm sure we'll talk about teacher retention later. We need the tools in order to do this job. I've had to pay for my own tools and my own development to get this stuff done. And we also need time and learning. I've taken so many sick days, not because I'm sick, but because I need long weekends to develop curriculum for my students because we don't have any. So we can change curriculums all we want, but if we also don't give our teachers time to unpack it and learn it, it's not going to be any good.
Thank you, candidates, and I wanted to point out our new fangled timer. That sounds kind of like the microwave when it goes off, but just so you know, if for some reason it doesn't start, our our local president, Erica Mitchum, is down here. She also has a backup clock going, so you can just look for her in the red, and she'll let you know when time's up. All right, for question 2, we're going to start with Ms. De Leon. What additions, deletions, or changes to our curriculum would you suggest? And do you have any opinions on the state's sponsored Bluebonnet curriculum?
Okay, it's a little premature for me to say what deletions I would request, simply because I haven't gotten involved in exactly what Humble ISD it entails with the curriculum. I can say that in the past year, I have been going to Humble High School to coordinate with the ESL coordinator, just talking about her needs there, since Humble High School I found is roughly 24% ESL. And so my goal, as well as the ESL coordinator's goal, is to have the students master out of the ESL program so that they can be go into classes that are completely in English, and so that these students are also eligible for scholarships. So that's definitely something that I'm coordinating with her. And I think what's important is to start at the elementary school level to see what resources and how the educational path is for those students. So that's one of the things that I'm currently looking into. As far as the Bluebonnet, I do think that based off of what I've seen, that it would be good for our students. There's some back to the basics, handwriting, Handwriting, not handwriting, oh my gosh. Thank you.
Additions, or actually deletions, I'll start with deletions first. I would definitely delete our current guided literacy program, and I would definitely add in a phonics-based program. As it pertains to mathematics, from the feedback that I've heard from the reviews of the current curriculum that was on display, the KIDM program, that seemed to win a lot of praise from some of the amazing instructors that I had the opportunity to speak with about the math curriculum. As it pertains to the Bluebonnet curriculum, my thoughts on it is this. I know there's a lot of discomfort and anxiety with the content of the curriculum being theological based. I understand that concern, and I agree with you. However, it's just not a good curriculum, and it's not something that I think we would thrive and do well on as a district with our current makeup and demographic. It just won't serve our needs. So I would definitely propose just adding a phonics-based curriculum and proceeding with the KIDM math curriculum.
Well, we have started to delete some of the Lucy Calkins era reading programs, and we are shifting to phonics-based. We do have a trial in some schools of the Bluebonnet mathematics, which does not have any theological association. The thing with Bluebonnet is Bluebonnet exactly matches the STAR test in the TEKS. So you literally, if you teach Bluebonnet, are teaching material that the children will be tested on. So, you know, I would say it's on display at the district. It's for you guys, the general public, to go look and read, and, you know, really at the end of the day, the teachers are gonna have to determine whether the Bluebonnet is good or not the best thing for us, but we have really a governance role. I'm not going to ever micromanage curriculum. I will approve or disapprove what is brought to me. Thanks.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes, I can. What additions, deletions, or changes to our curriculum would you suggest? And do you have any opinions on the state's proposed Bluebonnet curriculum?
So the additions that I would want to incorporate is more digital literacy, and like some of the candidates, more phonics based. I think as working as a digital literacy navigator, it's important that we incorporate that into K through 12 as well. And as far as the Bluebonnet, I don't think it would be beneficial for the teachers. I think they should be able to opt out of it because it wouldn't be beneficial for the teachers or for the students.
Just a reminder for the people in attendance, the job of a trustee, number one, is singularly to govern the superintendent and not get in the weeds of curriculum. That being said, we are shifting to phonics-based. When it comes to the Bluebonnet, I feel for the teachers, and here is another curriculum that the state's mandating to pass down. The one saving grace is, again, our teachers. There's a representative from each school, elementary, middle school, high school, that has a say in and can report back above them anything that negative or positive. So again, we rely on our teachers, a representative from each school in the district, and we trust our teachers. And they're fighting for us in the classroom and outside the classroom.
I support a phonics-based reading instruction for our children in the district, and I believe it should be up to the teacher to decide what to implement in her classroom as long as it follows the TEKS. I do not have any particular objection to the Bluebonnet curriculum. I believe the proper place to make an objection to that curriculum would have been with the State Board of Education. but let teachers teach. I just said that a few minutes ago. I don't think we should be micromanaging them. We should be hearing from them about how to better support them, because you can give them a giant raise, but if we do not make them feel heard, they're not going to continue teaching here. Thank you.
A few years ago, I participated with the multilingual department, and I gave up 3 of my summers to curriculum writing for foreign language. Foreign language did not have a curriculum, and a total about 8 teachers gathered during our summers. And this is quite an example of what is needed in Humble ISD. I hate curriculum that is imposed by people that do not have any expertise in education or pedagogy or what's going on in the classroom. We need to get teachers to hear what is needed in their classroom. We need to get teachers to decide what curriculum should be teaching in our classroom. And therefore, once we hear from them, we are so good about data. Let's get a survey out to teachers and see what is needed. A lot of these teachers have to, go to resources and pay teachers to get curriculum and resources. Why don't we have, a technology use, a big data source for our teachers? There's no need to be spending money outside. If there was a curriculum that works and teachers participated, I believe it would work.
I'm excited to see that we're getting rid of the Lucy Calkins curriculum across our entire district. It's sitting on the shelf, and that's where it needs to be. I'm excited to see that we're bringing back phonics-based literacy into our district, and our current board and superintendent has made shifts in that, and so I'm excited about that. We need to applaud them for that. We need to bring back required reading. We need to bring back reading whole books in the classroom. We need to let our teachers dictate, not our parents dictate, what students need in the classroom when it comes to literacy. We've had parents complain and educators and admin shift the focus on required reading. The second piece is the Bluebonnet math curriculum. It is TEKS based, and it's aligned to what's happening in the state from a TEKS and a testing standpoint. So we need to try it. We haven't tried a math curriculum. I think in 5 years we've been void of a math curriculum. So we've got to give it a shot. And we've got to let our teachers evaluate it and come back to us and tell us, is this working?
So my comment's not so much on the specific curriculum that we're using as it is how we come up with this curriculum. Teachers have to go through a lot of training. If you have a bachelor's degree in education, you go through pedagogy courses, you learn how kids learn. You're in the classroom, you are a subject matter expert in your field. My master's degree, I had to take educational psychology and all these other things. The problem is that we're not involving the teachers who are subject matter experts in their field as part of this conversation. To the point, there's only 2 IT teachers in this entire district, myself and another teacher. This district bought a curriculum without consulting either of us. The farm tech teacher, there's 1. They bought the curriculum, didn't talk to her. We need to stop doing that. We have experts in their field that need to be consulted. Now, as far as the Bluebonnet goes, I have no opinion of it, because I'm not a teacher who teaches that material. I would ask the teachers who would have to use that curriculum how they feel about it, and would this be the best fit for the kids?
Like I said in my first answer, the big thing around curriculum is that the experts, the principals, the teachers, those that are on the front lines, have a seat at the table, and they are driving that decision making. When it comes to Bluebonnet, like I said, I can't contradict my first answer. I've gone to those people and asked them what they thought about it, and the things that we're hearing are things like phonics. The phonics piece of it is great. Some of the content is controversial. Some of the concepts and strategies are fantastic. The fact that all the reading material is digital, not paper, isn't great. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag that we're hearing on it, but again, it's not up to the people that have the privilege of getting elected to make that decision. We need to get those experts that are on the front lines, that have studied it, and know exactly what they're doing to make that decision. And that's the big piece of my campaign on that.
Thank you, candidates. I want to ask everybody to be sure that, and I'm going to do this too, that we're all speaking directly into the microphone. I think we're having some people having trouble hearing. So be Don't be afraid to hold it right up there. Third question, we'll start with Ms. Carter. What has been your input to state policymakers about Senate Bill 2, specifically about private school vouchers? What has been your input to state policymakers on that subject?
Okay, just to piggyback before for the previous question, it's incumbent upon board members to understand what they're voting upon. That's why I think it's incredibly important for us to look and read about the curriculums before we vote upon them. As it pertains to state Senate Bill 2, my communications have been this: we don't want it. Public schools are woefully underfunded. We should not have our taxpayer dollars going to private education in the form of a voucher. What this bill especially highlights is the need for additional funding for public education. We are in a crisis. Not only are we have this looming threat of this voucher program, but we have the risk of a compression, a property tax compression. And if anyone knows, public education is funded primarily through like state property taxes. So no, we don't have state taxes, but property taxes, pardon me. And so it's incredibly important. And also there's instability in the Department of Education and federal funding. So we really need to be good stewards of our finances here and vote no against vouchers.
So I'm not as concerned with Senate Bill 2 as I am House Bill 2. House Bill 2 is the omnibus bill that encompasses lots of money for teachers. So the two bills that I'm most concerned about this session are Senate Bill 26, that's the teacher pay bill. And if you want to ask my priorities at this legislative session, teacher pay, teacher pay, teacher pay, and teacher pay. There are also some bills that I've advocated for safety, for special education, and things of that sort. But teacher pay is my absolute number one concern. I'm going to Austin tomorrow to advocate for teacher pay. We need our teachers to be compensated properly, and that's my number one priority this session. And of course, always student safety.
My input about vouchers is the problem is that they're going to take away our high-performing students, and I don't agree with it. Public schools educate all students, and private schools don't. So the voucher money will have to come from the state budget, and eventually will pull from public schools. So I stand to protect our schools and school funding.
Folks, we couldn't wait for this bill to see what happened. A year ago, I took over as finance chair, working with Billy, Terry, and other people on their staff. They implemented an aggressive plan, ADA in attendance, to create more dollars in the district, not waiting for the state, not waiting to see what happens up there. To create more dollars so we can have a significant pay raise this year. And we've got a budget board meeting in 2 weeks where Billy will announce all that. When it comes to the vouchers, I've been real clear about it, and it sounds like it's not going to happen, but if we're going to give $10,000 for private school, our kids in this district should get $10,000. That's my feeling on it. Equal money, that's it.
When I'm talking to state policymakers in Austin, I'm more focused on special ed funding, such as SB 568, which would increase special ed funding for those who really need it, because special education is education. I'm also focused on parental rights and the rights of teachers in the classroom. When it comes to HB2, we just have to be prepared in this district so that we are the district of choice for our parents and for teachers. And we do that by supporting teachers, making them
feel heard, and by supporting student success in the classroom, empowering parents, and increasing parental involvement. And our district can only improve by increasing transparency. And if I'm elected, that's what I plan to do. Thank you.
So last week, I was in Austin with a group of about 500 teachers marching and vouching for the no to vouchers. You know, as teachers, we know what public education is. I grew up in a public educational system. You know, I am an ESL student. Without, without vouchers, students that are underrepresented will not get the needs that they need. So one of my biggest issues is bilingual education, resources, as well as special education. My son is autistic. You know, we need those resources, of course. If those resources are cut, where are we going to get them from? You know, we do have to have a plan, not just say, I will do this, I will do that, or what if this not happen? Let's have a plan. Let's involve the community. Let's have community partners. If that was to happen, let's get community partners to help those students that need that representation. They need a voice. So partnering with the community will be beneficial, having a plan B.
This is a very uncomfortable conversation because I think what's going to happen is what's going to happen, and we can't control that. What I do know is we have not had an increase in funding since 2019. We've had 17% inflation, and we're still at around $61.60 per student, and I think we're going to get a 1% increase. The state has come up with a figure of $10K, and I agree with Ken. We need to level the playing field. We need to make sure that we keep pushing our state to get us to a 10K number, or as closest to a 10K number as we can for our students in public education. I'm a believer of public education. I moved to this country as an immigrant at 6 years old, and I've had nothing but public education all the way through college. I support public education because public education is for all students, not just a special set of students. But I will say, HB2 has the most money that we've ever seen since 2019. And we've got to keep pushing for those kind of bills to keep coming down the pipeline.
It's pretty wild. Up here at the table, you have representatives from the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, and of course the Libertarian Party. And none of us are going, yay, this voucher system sounds great. When you have people of such different political views and we're all going on the vouchers, that usually means that the vouchers are not the best idea, and the way they're doing it is definitely, it's not going to work. But I also talk about the fact, and it's been brought up, that we need to be a school of choice. We can compete against private schools. We can compete against the voucher system. We can be the school of choice, not just for kids, but for parents and faculty and staff. There's no reason why we can't recruit teachers from all across Texas. But in order to do that, we need to remove the obstacles, and some of them we've talked about, picking curriculums and all this other stuff. In order for us to compete against this, because it's coming, we need to remove the barriers that allow us to streamline and act accordingly.
Okay, question 4. I'm so sorry. It's like he's at the end of the table. It's time to go on. I apologize.
I agree with what several of the people at the table said. When we think about vouchers, ESAs, school choice, whatever you like to call it, it's a matter of when, not if. We got to be pragmatic about this. So what does that mean for us as potential trustees or current trustees? It means that we've got to keep advocating for certain things like enrollment-based funding versus attendance-based funding. Making sure that what this bill has said is that it costs money to educate a kid. And they are saying $10,000, and as one of my fellow candidates said, we've been sitting at $61.60 for years. And so those are the things we need to keep advocating for, as well as making sure that when students do have a choice, if that comes, that we are the choice that they choose. And we do that by focusing on things like CTE, things that set us apart, of making sure that we take care of our students with special needs. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Although I don't think that SB2 is perfect, I will say that there's a difference between the ESA program versus vouchers. And Florida has ESA as well as vouchers. In Florida, because they've implemented this, they've seen an increase in their testing scores. So 32 states are already currently providing SB2. So there have been some academic increases because of that. I am a product of a public school education. That's why I'm here volunteering my time. I believe in the public school education. Our goal is to get people to want to be in a ISD, and we've grown in the past few years, and that's been a blessing. Thank you.
Okay, now question 4. Just making sure you guys are paying attention. Okay, here we go. Question 4. What is the district's, this is for Ms. Parker to start. What is the district's response to complaints about school library collections? And would you propose any specific changes in the procedure?
Well, I think the parent is the number one people that should be in charge of their child's learning experience. And so my daughters, we utilize an app called Sora, and I check and see what my kids are reading. And we have a good complaint procedure in place. If there is a piece of reading material that is found offensive, to remove that piece of material if it is deemed to be offensive. So in Sora, you can opt in. You can have your child only have those materials that are available in Humble ISD, or you can opt in and have your child have also access to the Harris County Public Library. And it's the parent's choice, as it should be, to what their child has access to.
Parents have the right to express their concerns, and the district should establish a clear, transparent review process that includes educators, librarians, and community members to assess if a book satisfies educational and age-appropriate standards. The process should be thorough and fair, taking into account both parental concerns and the value of different views in education.
Maybe a bigger question there is that phone. Kids can access everything with their phone. But when it comes to that question, I'm not big on micromanaging. I'd like to trust my employees, but I also like to verify. We trust our librarians. Parents are in charge of their kids. The district shouldn't be involved in it. Parents are in charge of their children. Guardians are in charge of the children in that house. If it's the grandparents, so be it. It's their right. We need to leave it that way.
I think the process could be improved. It would take me a while to go into how it could be improved. Parents have the fundamental right to direct the moral upbringing of their children. And parents have a reasonable expectation that when they send their child to school, they will not encounter sexually explicit material or sexually graphic material. And that has happened in this district. So we need to do a better job of respecting the rights of parents and empowering parents to make the decision. Once that book is open, there's no going back. The kid has been exposed to that. So we need to do better and make sure that they aren't exposed to that. Those types of things do not benefit the educational success of our students.
There you go. Okay. So I believe in our libraries. First of all, teachers should have an input of what is put on there. I can tell you a couple of years ago, working with the multilingual department and teaching advanced Spanish, especially advanced literature in Spanish, We did a field trip to the library, and in our bookshelf, there was a total of 10 books in Spanish at the high school level. So working hand in hand with the multilingual department, we wrote a grant. And from 10 books, we went all the way to 100 books. The Summer Creek Library was the first one, and then we went to Humboldt High School and so forth and so on. So teachers, you know, we provide like weekly lesson plans. Why can't we put a book that or a novel that's gonna be there and have a check and balance with administrators or lead teachers, you know, have a process to see, and foremost of all, you know, if your student if you don't want your student to read it, then sign a waiver for that week that book is going to be reading it, but teachers should have a voice.
We've talked a lot about being a school of choice, and one of the reasons that we can continue to be a school of choice is by bringing required reading back and making the librarian's job fun and actually bringing that back all the way down to the elementary schools. We currently do not have required reading lists in our high schools. In our middle schools, we have choice literature. When we get into choice literature, we get into that kid can read this kid can read this, everyone can choose what they want to, and then we don't have a lot of consistency in what we're doing. And we start getting into discrepancies all over the place. We've got to let our teachers do what they do best in deciding what students should be reading. We've moved away from that. We keep talking about being the school of choice. By being a district of choice, bring required reading back, and we will eliminate some of the issues that we have in the complaints.
My son up there is a library aide over at AHS, and when I decided to run for office, I got to spend some time with our librarians. I got to hang out with them during fifth period and actually talk to them to find out what they were doing. First of all, we got to remember, we talk about teachers, appreciating teachers. Teachers are professionals. Librarians are professionals. These folks aren't picked up through, you know, a job ad in the back of a newspaper. These folks go to college and universities to get a degree in library science. I mean, let's be honest, people who get degrees in library science aren't the most icy people out there. These folks aren't looking for the most crazy stuff for the kids to read. And there is a great process. I actually got to sit down with them about the process. A librarian just can't go to Amazon or wherever and just buy a whole bunch of books. There's a very good process to make sure things don't go wrong. Additionally, there is a process where you can restrict books from your child, kind of like the Hogwarts restricted library section.
I echo some of the sentiments there. I'm very grateful for the hard work that our librarians put into making sure that we've got the right age-appropriate materials in our school libraries. Does that mean that there's never anything that slips through? Of course not. Of course not. And so we do need to have a process, a clear process, where parents can restrict books that they don't want their kids to read because they do have the rights. And from the trustee perspective, the board needs to have a clear policy in place so that if there is something that's found by a watchdog out there, that it can be looked at and we can make sure that it is the right age-appropriate material for that. As a parent and as someone that talks to a lot of parents on the regular, I will echo the sentiments of one of my friends up here. When we're thinking about things that are not appropriate, the battle is typically not from students rogue checking out library books. It's typically going to be in the digital space, and so that's the area that I continue to focus on. Thank you.
One of the things I find interesting about this question is being that I was a single mom, and at one point I worked 2 jobs to try to make ends meet for my boys. I didn't always have the luxury to see what my boys were checking out of the schools. I trusted the librarians to ensure that they had educational materials within the libraries versus having things that were not age appropriate. And that's actually a good portion of our district where my parents still use flip phones. They don't speak the English language. So there's a good portion of our district that's like that. So for them to be able to go online and be able to see these things, sometimes it's just not feasible. I think it's important to make sure that we stay focused on having educational material within our books and that we have age-appropriate books within the libraries. Thank you.
The current policy that we currently have in place is a good policy. It's consistent with the law, the penal code, as it pertains to access to irredeemable qualities and materials. So currently, we are on the right track as it pertains to protecting our students from inappropriate or prurient materials. One area of improvement that I noted, and Ms. Castillo, she hit the nail on the head. Our school libraries should be as diverse and offer materials that are as diverse and unique and amazing as our current community. I think that's an area of improvement. I honor all of our librarians. I know Ms. Mitchell, hopefully she's watching. Hey, Ms. Mitchell. She's an amazing librarian at the Groves, and she's just incredible. And I really want to take a moment and honor all of our librarians. As the past few years, you guys have been under attack. You guys are amazing at what you do, and I honor you and I thank you for instilling a love of reading in many of our students across the district.
Beginning with the next question with Ms. Brown. We've done a great deal to harden our schools against threats from the outside. What should we be doing to make our students safer from bullying and threats within our schools?
Well, the system we have in place is wonderful right now, but we must maintain a full approach when it comes to school safety. So we need to address more mental health concerns. So this would include more funding for school resource officers, upgrade security measures, and have a little bit more when it comes to the emergency response training, as well as mental health counselors and interventionist programs to avoid crisis before they arise.
Stacey, can we reread the question, please?
Certainly. We're familiar with how much we've done, how much money we've spent to harden our schools against threats from outside. What should we be doing to make our students safer from bullying and threats within the schools?
The subject of bullying, about a year and a half ago, administration met and put together a tougher enforcement of any fighting or bullying district-wide. And I have to say, the first 2 years I was on the board, it was nonstop, the bullying. Yes, you're coming off of COVID, everybody's going back to school, everybody's antsy, but it's gone to, and I've got another trustee up here that can echo this, I haven't had an email about bullying, fighting, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or even longer. So I've got to give kudos to the administration, the campus principals, and their leadership. And leadership matters. I do agree that programs should be tightened, not tightened, should be supported for mental health. Mental health is a serious issue.
Every child should feel safe going to school. Last week, a girl was dragged down the stairs at Atascocita High School. So often, the fights that are taking place in our schools these days end very violently with injuries that put the child in the hospital. I'm talking about head stomps. We need to start calling the police. We need to start having consequences for the kids who are doing violent acts against teachers and students. We need to stop coddling the kids. The restorative discipline practices are not working. We need creative ways to continue the services that were required by law to provide to the students who are under services while they're under discipline. And we just can't continue to do nothing. We have to do better. And we need to always be checking in with those students who are the victims of bullying and violence in our district.
I love this question. Zero tolerance for sure for violence and bullying. Last week, my husband and I participated in a grant that we won with Midtown Houston with 20 students in the Mariachi Umbo ISD. And that program established bullying. We, quickly, I'm gonna talk to you, 20 students gave their stories of what their traumas are in high school, growing up in high school. Out of those 20 stories, we picked 3 and the students enacted their stories. Throughout the stories, we empowered them. We gave them social, emotional strength. And these are programs that we need to be focusing on, providing mental health, making sure we train our staff to recognize and respond to students dealing with trauma, making sure our counselors, back in the days we used to sit and talk to our counselors. They're over caseloads of scheduled training. We need to have partnerships that can come and provide those resources to students, as well as let's have someone with social services come and help those students.
It's great to hear that bullying is down in Humble ISD. I think there are ways that we can continue to do that by supporting our teachers and principals in allowing parents to and students to have proper consequences for behavior. Right now, our parents and our students control a lot of our schools. Our teachers and our administration and educators don't have the ability to say that student cannot return back to campus, and we need to support our educators and our teachers. Those are the teachers that are in the building. They have to receive the same students that are coming back. We need better behavior modification. 2, we've seen a decrease in bullying in Dallas independent schools across the board in Austin that have moved to cell phone pouches. Taking away the cell phone in the classroom has decreased a lot of behavior problems. I think both Dallas and Austin are in their second year for some and their first year, and they've seen a tremendous increase in behaviors that have gone out the door and bullying that's gone out the door.
So I was actually quoted in a video of mine was featured in the Houston Chronicle regarding security, and I have an issue with the assumption that external security is actually security. I've taught security to federal, state, local law enforcement officers. I've developed training for security, and I've delivered this to also banks and everything else. I teach my kids how to bypass this current eval system. It's part of my curriculum. It's part of social engineering. If you think our campuses are secure, talk to me after about a Sharpie. I had a kid very politely actually bypass the entire eval system by holding the door open for me today. Now, as far as internal, there's no consequences. These students are learning in elementary school. If they get in a fight, they're going to get a timeout, if that, but they're coming back with a lollipop. And that culture is built through that. And it's not the admin fault, and it's not the teacher's fault, but we need to give them the power to actually deal with these discipline issues in a serious manner.
I want to echo the sentiment that I don't want to understate the importance of the role that Humble ISD PD and Chief Cook and that entire team, the amazing job that they do day in and day out to keep our students safe. When we talk about internal stuff, bullying, fighting, a couple of things that were already said that I agree with. One, as a board, whoever is elected, we need to let our one employee, the superintendent, know that we need to empower administrators and teachers so that if a student does violate the code of conduct by doing things like assaulting another student or assaulting a teacher, and I don't want to forget about our transportation folks, that there are actual consequences that will follow when that happens. I'd also love to see a full court press on some of the programs that already exist, like Watchdogs, like I volunteer with at Oak Forest, and Ironman, things like that at our campuses. And of course, the amazing mental health resources that our counseling and behavioral department already has, making sure that every single parent knows they're out there.
So there are 3 parts of this for me. First, I'd like to comment, I've been attending the Humble ISD Community Leadership Academy, and the Humble Police Department is doing a phenomenal job taking care of us externally. I mean, going to their facility, I highly encourage you guys to take a look at it in the processes. Chief Cook is doing a phenomenal job. The second part to this is that my mom took care of 12 kids at one time, and she took care of troubled kids as well, but all of the kids did not misbehave with her because she cared for them and they knew that she loved them. And I think that our teachers should have the time to be able to build relationships with these students, because so often they're have meetings to go to and have to do a lot of the paperwork versus being able to spend time with their students. So I think that's definitely important. Humboldt High School has already reflected that they have a part-time staff member that has been able to bring 3 students back into their schools, and now those students are on track to graduate. So those are definitely success stories. Lastly, we need to make sure we have consequences for disciplinaries, and those consequences have to be followed through. Thank you.
I, like many of my esteemed candidate colleagues, would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Humboldt ISD Police Department as well as Chief Cookie, who are doing an outstanding job. As it pertains to bullying, and I'm going to push back on some of the answers that we heard this evening, because now bullying is no longer being classified as bullying, it's being classified as mistreatment of others. And I think what we need to do is be extremely clear and have a clear policy in place where we track not only the mistreatment of others, but the actual incidence that rises to the level that is classified as bullying. There is a difference between the two instances, and I think that's what we really need clarification on, because unfortunately, whatever guidelines that are currently being followed are not necessarily the same across campuses, and we need to make sure that we're on the same page and we're tracking not only bullying of students, but also the mistreatment of others. A lot of the times parents don't realize that you have to specifically request a bullying investigation for anything to be done.
Thanks to the hard work of the administration, our principals, teachers, and of course our wonderful Humboldt ISD Police Department, bullying is down. We are not getting the emails like I got when I first was elected 4 years ago. The iHelp program is a wonderful notification system if there's somebody in danger of being bullied. We lack support from if there's actual an act of violence. We are not getting any support from the DA, from the outside. We're doing the best we can internally. I think one way a big school gets small is through engaging kids in activities. And I think it's really important that kids not only come to school to learn, but come to school to become the whole child, whether that's fine arts or sports or dance or whatever that child's activity is. It's good for kids to be involved.
Candidates, thank you for answering the questions that were posed tonight. We are going to let you have 1 more minute to kind of wrap up any final thoughts that you had or anything else that you wanted to share. And we're going to start with Mr. Kirchhoffer and go down that way.
Well, thank you for being here, and I just want to say that this district, I've been here since 1999. My kids have gone through it. Hopefully my grandson does. I run a successful business. I manage over 50 employees. I lead by example. Leadership matters. I'm the chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. We work very diligently in committee, as a board. Even when there's 7 different people on the board, we're all different personalities. The common goal is the district. What is best for these students? What is best for this administration? I just want to say in closing, special needs kids matter to me. All kids deserve an excellent education, and that includes special needs kids. This fall, the Mosaic building will open for our teenage special needs kids, and we're looking forward to it. So I hope I get your vote. We've got work to do, and we're going to continue to do it.
I'm Tracy Shannon, and I'm running to be your voice on the board. I want to increase transparency, support teachers, empower parents, and I want to support more support for early reading, more support for our teachers in the form of certified paraeducators. I want less classroom disruption for our teachers. I want to reward what works in the classroom and repeat what works in the classroom so we can improve learning in Humboldt ISD and restore this district to the level of academic success that we enjoyed for many years previously. Some of the initiatives that are in AVID we could take global across this district that would benefit students throughout their education. I'm running for position 4. I hope I get your vote. Thank you.
My name is Judy Castillo. I'm a passionate educator, 14 years experience, and I believe that there should be, now let me change it, I don't believe, there should be a teacher on the board. Only teachers understand what is needed in the classroom and understand students as well. I'm as well a community advocate for over 20 years. And, just to think of the comment that Ms. Parker said about our DA, I have a great friendship with the recent DA, Mr. Sean. Let's bring him over here. Let's see. Let's build relationships, strong relationships with our community partners, our community servants, our state representatives, and have them come and see and help Humble. So my name is Judy Castillo. I'm a passionate educator for over 14 years, and it's time a teacher sits on the board that understands students and staff and parents and brings community engagement and parent involvement.
My name is Elizabeth Shaw, and I'm running for position 5. My journey began about 20 years ago at Humble ISD when we moved here with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I started volunteering in our schools even before my kids were in the schools. Whether it's enhancing curriculum, advancing about learning initiatives, or just actually sitting on district level committees, listening to what you teachers are experiencing every day. If elected, I promise to focus on enhancing teacher retention by listening to you. You are in the classrooms and you are our educators and you're doing the work, and we need to listen to you more. Promoting consistent and effective learning methods in the classroom, not flip-flopping on our students, letting our students and teachers do what they know best and not hampering our teachers anymore. Prudent budget management and fiscal transparency. I've done it before on other boards, and I have the experience and will continue to do it here for Humble ISD. I look forward to your support in the early days of our election on April 22nd for position 5, Elizabeth Shaw.
Scott Ford, and I agree with my fellow teacher over here. It is important, I think, this election cycle that a teacher is on the board. We have a unique perspective of seeing what's going on from the inside and seeing the consequences of decisions. I've been an educator for 25 years, a master's degree from Texas A&M in education technology. I came back 3 years ago to fix a broken IT certification program. And one of the big reasons why I'm running is so the district doesn't destroy it the minute I walk out that door. But I do want to take a moment and just share something with you. I've been in this district for quite some time, and this is the first election cycle I've been in where you've got some great people. Everybody up here is up here for the right reasons. We did a reverse forum that we hosted. They all showed up. We're hosting a case of questions this Saturday so you can meet the person. It's not a forum, no suits allowed, you get to meet the people. This is an amazing election where people up here want to hear you and be part of the community. So I don't envy your decision, but I hope at least for position 5, you vote for Scott Ford. Thank you.
Again, thank you all for spending your Thursday night with us. I really appreciate it, and it's very, very encouraging as a candidate and as a part of the community that you're all here tonight. I'm running this year because leadership drives culture, and culture shapes our outcomes. And our parents and our teachers and our students and the entire community deserves a culture of transparency and accountability where parents and teachers and students have a voice at the table. The things I'm focusing on in this campaign is making sure that every single student is safe because nothing else matters if our kids aren't safe. On top of that, have a heart for our special education department and our kids with special needs. If you talk to any of those educators, and I've talked to a lot of them, their caseloads are overwhelming right now, and I want to make sure that they are a priority and that they have the funding and educators that they need in that area. So again, my name is Oscar Silva, running for position 1, and I hope I get to meet you later on.
Thank you. Thanks again, you guys, for being here. Gracie Deli on position 1. The things that I'm primarily running on is setting up our students, each student for success. The second thing is to make sure that our teachers are happy. In my 24 years of management, it starts at the front line. If our teachers are happy, then it's a domino effect. My wish for tonight is that out of all the people that are up here, that our next board, that we interact with civility. We are going to be leaders of the community, just as like our current board is, and it's important that we collaborate and we work together and that we respect each other mutually. And that's my wish for this, and that we always keep the focus on the students. I hope that you guys stay afterwards and ask us all questions, because that's the hard part. It's when strangers come up to us and they ask us questions and we're not expecting it, because the people we know, that's already easy. But the people that we don't know are the ones that I'd like to talk to. So I appreciate you guys all being here tonight, and thank you for your time. Gracie DeLeon, position 1.
Hey everybody, Natalie Carter. I'm running for Humble ISD Board Trustee, position 3. I wanted to thank you all for being here tonight, and also anybody who's tuning in online, good evening. You could be doing anything in the world, but you're here tuning in with us, joining us virtually. Thank you for your commitment to our community. Right now, I'm running for change. It's time for change. I know we're tired. It's been a long past few years, and I'm committed to help serve our community by prioritizing and refocusing back to what truly matters, and that's the students. I would appreciate your vote. I'm Natalie Carter for position 3. If you want more information, I'll be out in the lobby. You can visit my website to learn more about my platform at www.carterforhumbleisd.com. I am here for you and the students. And I thank you all. Thank you for the HARDA and ATPE for coming and asking us these amazing questions. We look forward to having you all use your voice to make change.
In closing, again, I would like to thank ATPE and HARDA for hosting such an amazing event. I'm Chris Parker, your Humble ISD School Board President, running for my seat, position 3. Teachers, you are awesome, amazing, and make a difference in children's lives each and every day. I'm so thankful for the HARDA members who leave behind a rich tradition of excellence in education in Humble ISD. Parents, thank you for preparing your children for learning each day. Listening stakeholders, if you are listening to this forum, clearly you have a deep level of caring for our community. Together as a collective group, I look forward to working together for a bright future in Humble ISD. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm Chris Parker, Humble ISD, position 3. Again, Chris Parker, Humble ISD, position 3.
My name is Brittany Brown, and I'm running for position number 4. Thank you all for the opportunity to come out tonight, for you to hear and share our responses. As a parent and educator and a community member, I'm deeply committed to ensure every student in Humble ISD receives a quality education, safe and supportive environment in our schools. Schools should be places where students feel seen, heard, and prepared, not just for tests, but for life. And if elected, I'll listen, I'll advocate, and I'll work hard to make sure our district reflects the excellence in our kids that we deserve. I'll be honored to have your support. My name is Brittany Brown, and I am running for position number 4.
Thank you to all the candidates for your answers tonight. We appreciate your interest. I've observed that city councils and school boards are 2 of the most thankless positions there are, and we appreciate your subjecting yourselves to this. Also want to acknowledge those who've made our program possible tonight. President Erica Mitchum of Humble ATPE, President Linda Sparrow from Humble Area Retired Teachers. I want to acknowledge Summer Creek Principal, Dr. Mahoney, and the Performing Arts Manager, Thomas Dalton. Texan Live, Rusty Odom is broadcasting our forum tonight. Our superintendent, Dr. Roger Brown, has smoothed the way for a lot of what we've done tonight. I'd also like to acknowledge Kate Johans from the ATPE State Office for her help in getting some wonderful graphics and planning together, and also Jamie Mount and Yvonne Harris from the Public Information Service. They've been a great help in smoothing this out too. We will have some time with the candidates after the forum. Feel free to pepper them with the questions. And thank you all for coming. Good night.